This morning on the Ag Issues program, a pleasure as always to bring on to the program Roger McEowen, professor of agricultural law and taxation at the Washburn University School of Law, as he joins us on the program this morning. Roger, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Greg. It's odd to be with you on a Friday.
You know what? I was just going to ask you this. You've been doing this program before I was on, and you did it with Kelly almost 30 years now. Have you ever appeared on a Friday?
Not on a regularly scheduled show. I may have done one. I'd have to go back. I track all of this stuff. I'd have to go back and look to see if we had kind of a breaking ag law or tax news event that I came on a Friday to talk about, but not on a regularly scheduled show. No, I've never done it on a Friday with you or with WIBW.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to it. First thing we want to cover, is you guys are the Washburn Ag Law School is having an event coming up on Friday, January 24th, but specifically addressing the rural tax practitioner shortage.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. This is a really big issue. We are at really a crisis point in the country. It's not just in the center part of the country or out in the west. It's everywhere. We could even say rural New York and the rural parts of Northeast in the country, where we have an extreme shortage of attorneys, specifically trained in the legal issues facing farmers and ranchers, as well as tax practitioners who can also be attorneys that are up to speed on the needs, legal and tax-wise, that farmers and ranchers have. And it's continued to become a significant problem over the years. It's always been an issue, but it's really a major problem. We've got a couple of counties in Kansas that don't have any attorneys at all. We've got one county in the southwestern part of the state where the county attorney doesn't even reside in Kansas, but comes across from Colorado to do county attorney work in Kansas, and that situation is a problem because of the need for legal services and the specific needs of farmers and ranchers. So it's a big problem. And last June, I'm a weekly guest on RFD TV. In fact, I have that at noon today. And boy, I'm glad this is not TV this morning at 6 a.m. But because I just came in off the road last night from speaking in Pittsburgh, Kansas yesterday. But in June, in addition to my weekly interview on RFD TV, I've had this idea for a couple of years that I needed to really step on the accelerator and bring this problem to foresight and explain this to people as well as students and so forth. And I'll get to that in a moment. And I had pitched this to the producers at RFD TV, and then last March when I was in studio in Nashville, we had a meeting with the production crew. I had been pushing for a documentary where I'd have one of their news anchors or a couple with their production team follow me around different parts of the country. And in my mind, I had pictured a documentary where we would talk to various practitioners across the country. They would interview them, talk to me about it, and we'd go from east to west. And that was my vision, a big vision. So you always want to dream big, and then if you still get something out of it, I think it's still a win. Well, they thought that was going to be cost prohibitive to do that. And so we hashed this around for a couple of hours in their boardroom there in Nashville. And what we came up with, what we decided on, was 4 consecutive shows, and they aired on Mondays. And these are available on YouTube. They're on my website also. And I've been showing 2 of them across the country since that point in time at my seminars. And we got about 6 to 7 minutes each time. So basically I got 25, 28 minutes devoted to this with no commercials, which I didn't think that was too bad. But it was all done on a remote basis. And the first week was myself just kind of scoping out the problem. The second week were 2 CPAs talking that attend my seminars, one from Havre, Montana, one from Ontario, Oregon, explaining the issues that they have in their practice. And these are CPAs of finding attorneys to work with their farm clients. And it's difficult. They may have to go 4 or 5 hours away to find someone to assist on an estate plan, a tax plan for a client that's something where legal expertise is needed specific to a farm or ranch client, in addition to the tax work that they're doing. And of course, they're talking about conflicts of interest, and if there aren't other practitioners, you're often conflicted out, which is another problem that is there. And then the third week, I had 3 of my students on, and one of those now, very proud of all 3 of these. These are in my mind, these are the superstars. One is practicing in Dodge City and now has an agreement worked out with a practitioner in Cimarron, Kansas, who has been asking me for years to find him someone to work with him for a couple of years so he could retire, because he was telling me, Roger, I can never retire. If I were to retire, my clients would show up at my home on my front porch. And that's a problem that a lot of rural practitioners have. What do you do with your client base? You can't just leave them hanging if you're the only person around, which is a major problem. And that arrangement she's worked out now, she's going to work 2 days a week with him, and eventually the plan is she'll end up in Cimarron and have that practice turned over to her. Another one is going to start in the Pittsburgh area. And then yet a third one who came to hear me speak in Sidney, Montana in August of 19. And Sidney is northeast Montana. If you know where Williston is at in the oil fields, you go straight across, you're going to be in Sidney, Montana. Pretty close to the middle of nowhere. And I went and did an all-day seminar for the County Bar Association there. Packed the courtroom out is where we had it at. And it was on closed-circuit TV across locations in Montana. Well, this one student at Montana State was getting ready to start his 4th year at Montana State, his senior year, and he was invited to come by one of the attorneys there. And he stayed all day long and had supper with me that evening with the group that was sponsoring me. And we talked, and we stayed in touch through his senior year. He came to Washburn, and he finished my top student in my agricultural law class in May of 23. And he would come out occasionally on Saturdays and help here at my place. And we'd clear brush and chainsaw and talk. And we kept talking. And he got down to coming into his 3rd year, and he said, Professor, do you think I can do this on my own right out of school? I said, Rhett, I know you can. The work, there's so much stuff to do. And he said, well, what about the other practitioners in the area? I said, don't worry about it. They will help you get established. They want you to be there. There's so much stuff to do. And people can watch the video, and you just see of June when he was on RFD TV with the other students, and you can see the joy on his face. He said it's been nothing but just wonderful experience. And I told him, I said, Red, I told you it would be. You're going to have so much to do. And he started on his own from day one and is very successful at it. And he's thinking now about opening a satellite office in northeast Montana and staffing that. That's a year and a half out of law school. I've got another former student that is practicing, still living on the home farm in south of Abilene, Dickinson County, and practicing in Salina. And the joy on his face, he's able to have 2 career goals there. He's working on the family farm. Unfortunately, his father just passed away, so now he's got greater responsibilities for the family farm. But he has a practice in Salina. That's not necessarily rural, but he still is connected with the family farm. And I thought, I need to take this message wherever I go, and I go all across the country. And I've been showing those 2 videos at these events and talking about this. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to do a tax update session for 2 hours in January, on January 24, when the students are back. Then I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to have a panel of practitioners. We're going to, and this is all going to be moderated by John Jenkinson. I'm sure you know who John Jenkinson is, a longtime farm broadcaster. In fact, Greg, didn't he work for WIBW for a while?
Yes, he did.
Before he went to RFD. Yeah.
Yep, yes, he
went
did.
Went to RFD TV, and now he's an ag banker in Garden City. Well, he's going to come in and moderate this. Since I had the RFD TV connection initially, I wanted to keep that as we went through. And so they weren't able to. No one was able to come out from Nashville, but they said, John's in Kansas. Why don't you have John come? So I did, and he said, I'll be there immediately. He just jumped on the bandwagon for this and said, I'll come help you with this. This is such an important thing. So we're going to do it after I'm done with the 2 hours of continuing education for practitioners. And you can join online. It's not just in person, but if you want to connect with the students, you need to be there in person. But it's going to be online also. We'll do a panel discussion. And I've got attorneys and CPAs that are going to be on the panel that are going to share their experiences with the students. We'll go to a luncheon. And then we'll have an open forum in the afternoon, a give and take, a discussion with students that are there, not just law students. I'm going to invite the business students from Washburn and K-State to come too, and elsewhere. I know there's an interest where I know I've got interest across the country that's been expressed. We invite them too to talk about a lot of the misconceptions, the misunderstandings. What is the reality with a rural practice? What are your opportunities, and what are the challenges that are there? And I'm hoping to not only network students with the practitioners who are needing them, but give them the accurate picture of what it is to actually practice in a rural environment, and what you mean to that rural community. And once you get properly trained to service their needs, and hopefully make a dent, hopefully a big dent in this problem, not just in Kansas, but elsewhere.
Roger McEowen is joining us, professor of agricultural law and taxation at the Washburn University School of Law, coming up on an event January 24th addressing the rural attorney, rural tax practitioner shortage. So, as you mentioned, Roger, an important event, especially for students as well. But if you are seeking continuing education credits, this would be an important event for you as well.
Yeah, I will start out the day with 2 hours of continuing education for attorneys and CPAs that are getting geared up for the upcoming tax season. So the 24th of January will be right before the tax season starts. The IRS will probably open it up the following week, but I have to wait till the 24th of January to do it because the students don't come back until earlier that week. But if people want credit for this, there are 2 hours of credit that are offered. I'm going to start at 8:30 in the morning. That'll go till 10:30. Then we'll shift gears and go to, the addressing the rural practice issues and the shortage of rural practitioners on the tax and legal side of things after that.
And for the students as well, I'm sure, and you've got, definitely cases you talked about already, but is it of the fact that the ability to open their eyes on a golden opportunity to be able to get that in as far as job opportunities, or at least great contacts that they're able to make to be able to do that too?
Yeah, well, for example, Greg, you're from Southwest Kansas, and just think of the issues that might be rolling through someone's mind of, okay, I want to go, you want me to go practice in Elkhart, Kansas, or Ulysses, Kansas? And some might say, why? What opportunities are for me there? Well, one practitioner in Garden City, when I was talking about that, he practices in Elkhart. He came up to me and he said, I'm coming to Topeka for this. I will find a way to get there. It doesn't matter. The need is so great. And he said, I can explain to them what opportunities they have. He said, in my practice, I've got oil and gas clients. I'm down here in oil and gas country. I've got a lot of real estate work, estate planning. In fact, Greg, the students don't realize this, but the wealthiest part of the state of Kansas, if you were to segment it into sections, is the southwest quadrant. It's not even close. And students don't realize that. They think, oh, Johnson County. No. It's in the southwest part of the state because of all that wealth in agriculture down there, land and cattle and oil and gas interests. And that means there's a lot of work that has to be done. And he told me, he said, I'm so overworked. We've got to get more practitioners down here. And so he said, I'm coming to that event. Well, just ask yourself, since you're from down there, what would appeal to someone in that area, and he wants to come and share with them what the opportunities are and what the benefits are of working in that part of the state. Yeah, there are downsides. You can't go to the Chiefs game, for example. You don't have the entertainment venues that you have, but there are other things that make up for that. You can, in your practice, not just be a peg, cog in a wheel like you would be in a big firm, say in Kansas City or in Denver or Oklahoma City or Dallas. You can actually be a member of the community. They'll want you to be probably on the legal representative for the school board. You'll be asked to participate in local type organizations, and you can get a lot of reward out of doing that other than just your practice. So we're going to have practitioners kind of hopefully open students' eyes as to what these opportunities are and give them a chance to network with people that really need them. I hope that's really what comes out of this, because the students do get mixed messages in the business colleges and in the law schools that, you need to go to the big four accounting firms. You need to go to big law. And they really downplay practicing in a rural area. And that's just not right. That whole story needs to be told. And so that's the goal of the second part of this conference, is to tell that whole story.
Well, and it's they would be pleasantly surprised how easily it is to establish yourself in that rural community as well. And like you said, one connection equals another connection, and so on and so on their ability to be able to do that, and very quickly and very easily too.
That's exactly right. And so often students get so involved, I know the law students do, in their book work and in their classes, that they miss a lot of the opportunities to connect and network. And so, again, another purpose of this, of having it at the law school, is, all right, if you're not going to go see the practitioners that want to see you, I'm going to bring them here. And I've had tremendous response to this everywhere I've gone, with saying, I think I'm going to do this. And they said, yes, do it, and we'll come. So, I told the dean, I said, what are you going to do if 300 people show up? And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, it's not my problem. We'll find a place to put everybody. It's your problem. I hope that happens. And I hope we have to move it out of the law school to someplace else on campus or another building in Topeka. But I hope we have that type of response to this, that we need to have that type of response. And hopefully this will kickstart something else. I had a CPA from Illinois who found out about it yesterday. He said, boy, this is a problem in downstate Illinois. I'm going to come to this. So I'm encouraged. I hope this is an event that really benefits these students. And I think it will, but I sure hope it does.
All right. One thing we don't want to forget, if people want more information or they want to register for the event, how do they need to do that?
Well, a couple of ways here. They can go to the law school's website. Now, the law school's website has been redesigned, so my site right now is dark until it gets plugged in. It's being retooled. So you can go to the law school's general website, and under events, and you can find your way through that. You'll get to it. Otherwise, you can go to my Facebook page, and I put the link in a Facebook post of, what was that, yesterday or the day before that I did that. It's the current post, the first one on my Facebook page, either my personal page or Washburn Walter. And we also shared that link with Rich Llewellyn over at K-State. He'll post that on Ag Manager at K-State too. So there are various ways to do that, or people can contact me directly, or if they contact you, send them to me, and I'll get the information to them.
All right, sounds good. Well, next month I look forward to hearing afterwards how things went, because I think it's going to be fascinating to see how many people are able to come. But it sounds like you've got a pretty good amount that have already committed to being able to do that. So, Roger, as always, appreciate it, and we will talk to you before Christmas.
Thank you, Greg.
That is Roger McEowen, Professor of Agricultural Law and Taxation at the Washburn University School of Law, as he joins us this morning on the Ag Issues program here on 580 WIBW.